Welcome to NOFO Studios. Today I have Kendall Fabb, and Jon Fabb with us. And Vin, what are we going to be discussing today with small time values?
Oregon Road Organics. I was at a meeting last weekend at the Ag Advisory Committee. Happened to run into Jon Fabb. I saw what he was doing over the time he built out Oregon Road Organics. I was able to drive by it every day. I saw the process intimately. Was just there this weekend, and I kind of want to know how they do it.
Okay, so thank you for having us here, Doug and Vincent. Kendall, my partner, is here with me as well. So basically, how the farm was conceived was in 2019. I had been in my office on a Sunday. It was actually a Mother's Day. And we were sitting there, and I said, you know, something, that land had been sitting on the market for almost 10 years. And I said, I noticed that there a lot of property was being gobbled up. And mind you, this is pre-COVID, before the big boom and the rush. So I called the owner. I was lucky enough to know Michael, and I called him. He was down in Carolinas, and he picked up the phone on a Sunday for me. And I said, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to give you a full ask for it, and we'll figure it out. And that has how quick that deal happened. I came home. I told my wife, I said, you're not going to believe it. We just bought a farm.
I just bought some more land.
I said, I don't know what we just did. You know, our background is agriculture. We're landscape designers, contractors. So I figured we better get some extra ground in case we wanted to go into nursery operations or something like that. So throughout all of this, that was just a vacant land. Yeah. There was no fencing, no well, no nothing on it.
Just raw land.
All the development rights are sold on that property. Okay. So we had to go and start with the county farmland committee. We went through them, pretty extensive. We had to go through all kinds of site plan approvals, as well as state approvals for the well. And then once we were granted those in 2020, we had to go to the town. And then that, because of COVID took place, it took a little bit longer to get through the town because of restrictions with COVID. So one of the first things that we were able to do was get a deer fence up, and we got the well in prior to COVID. So at that time, I was approached by a good friend of mine, and the hemp industry, which was started in 2016, he says, look, we should get into this. During that time, that ground had laid fallow since 2011. So NOFO New York, which governs all of the certifications for vegetables, was able to grant us through the inspection process and soil testing, immediate certification on that ground. So It became certified organic. So that was fantastic. So then we said, let's go into hemp. So we went ahead and purchased Oregon CBD, which is one of the top genetics. And we started cultivating in a barn that we had up the road. And we propagated out of there. And then the following spring, COVID opened up. So during that time, being an entrepreneur and a businessman and a conservative, I decided that I really didn't want to have our eggs in one basket with all hemp. It concerned me. We didn't have another way out. So at that time, we decided to go into certified organic vegetables.
Smart.
With what was going on with the world, we decided that maybe this would be a path for us. So we split the property. The property is a 12-acre, just under 12 acres. We grew about 5 acres of hemp, 7 different strains, and then the lower half, we went into the vegetable market. At that time, Kendall got involved, and we started basically with a table.
Yeah.
We had a table, and there's some pictures that we have where we started. They started with the vegetables. We learned the hard way, because we weren't farmers. So we had a lot of a certain type of vegetable, nothing of another.
Yeah, we could do anything. Yeah, we could do it. Yeah,
it was a really, really hard lesson, especially working 7 days a week and God knows how many hours. But we took it and we kept moving through. During that time, we formulated a product. I had a manager with me at that time, and the manager and I had gone through, formulated a product called NOFO CBD. So NOFO CBD was started, and we figured out how to actually make a supplement with it. That was a real interesting experience because of the amount of time it took to go back and forth and get the COAs, the certificate of analysis, the dosage rates, and get that actually compliant with then Governor Cuomo's, 0.03% rate.
Right.
So we got through that. So at that time, because of what was going on in the world, there was a grant through Cornell and the Vanderbilt family to have 200 pounds of bud or biomass from hemp processed for free. So we said, wow, well, that's money saved in a world of
Makes
just
sense.
throwing money away at that time. So we said, let's go. So I sent my brother up, and he actually took my son. They went up and they had this material processed. So mind you, we only sent 200 pounds up. We had thousands of pounds of biomass from that 5-acre crop. So they come back, and the processor called us and said, hey, fantastic news. We got 18 kilos out of 200 pounds. But the problem is we've never had 18 keys out of 200 pounds. So my staff obviously made a mistake. So what I'm asking you to do is to bag up another 200 pounds and bring it on up, and we'll give you your keys. So again, my brother sends up, or actually I think my manager and I went up. So we pick it up, we meet the operation, substantial operation up there, and come home. He calls back a few days later. It happened again. We got another 18 keys out of 200 pounds, and they couldn't figure out why we were getting such high yield, high value distillate from 200 pounds of material. Well,
And a farmer that never knew how to farm.
never knew how to farm. I was lucky enough that the guys that I had started with had some bit of a background, and they were pretty adamant about buying certain pieces of equipment, and at that time was very expensive, especially when our construction was shut down. We were able to do maintenance. I had to keep my staff on. We were renovating a barn to be an indoor grow. There was a lot happening. So we go ahead and start figuring out why this is. And the reason is as my brother actually processed it with us, we trimmed everything through a mechanical trimmer. So it took out all of the biomass, the stems, the leaves, if there was any seeds, which there really wasn't. And it would also separate into compartmentalized bags, keef and, the leaves and things like that. So when we brought the processor, the product, it was like perfect green nuggets of high quality hemp. So it brought a tremendous value to the distillate. So that being said, we got into that and we figured out NOFO CBD. We did some trials with people, and it was a good avenue to help supplement the lack of income coming in from the farm with the vegetables, right? So fast forward now, we've implemented some more of our site plan. Kendall's been involved now for a couple of years full time. So the hemp operation, because of the amount of product that we had to distillate, we really don't need to grow that much hemp.
Wow.
So then the vegetable market grew, which is a very difficult market. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And trying to do that and what it takes, especially compliance, the organics, the materials, the labor, and everything. Kendall had got involved, and then you should tell him, Kendall, about your CSA program.
Yeah, so we started a CSA program, which is Community Supported Agriculture. So basically, you invest in this program, you get a share of the farm. So weekly, you come, you get a box, everything's fresh harvested that day. You get a box of all the stuff that we have grown on the farm. And we do it Fridays and Saturdays, so you can come, enjoy the property. We have the silos set up. Not just a table anymore, so that's definitely great. So yeah, we fill it with everything, and the money from the CSA actually helps the farm stay working and moving and everything.
Especially the early season with startup costs, the labor, the fertilizer, things like that. It's absolutely instrumental for any of these small farms to have this program, because now, especially with the interest rate on when they go and get capital loans, even from Farm Credit, that's at 8 or 9% right now. Right. It's killing these guys. Sure. And it's putting it off to the consumer because they have to absorb that. Right. So, that's tremendous.
Margins have been so tight.
So absolutely. Wow. And look, the other thing is farm labor is up too. This is not,
labor
10, 15 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
And now there's also overtime invested into this. that they're going to bringing it down to 40 hours. So in a few more years, 40 hours are going to be time and a half. That's also going to impact your food costs.
Absolutely.
John, how many hours does your labor currently work
Ooh,
a week?
oh man, they got to be 60. The guys we work right along with them. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're working a long time. I know that even on the construction end, listen, anything out here, even on the seasonal business, if it's landscaping or it's, building or farms, you're working at least 5 10s and a half a day Saturday if you're lucky, but most times you're working
Can't
at
keep
10
up.
Saturday. So there's 60. And then I know as a business owner in Kendall too, that we have to go in on Sundays just to kind of clean up and prepare, see what's going on and how we're going to implement the next week, because time is money.
Right.
And if you're not well planned out and executed, then you're losing money that
You're
next
losing
day.
money. Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think that we should touch on is that the farm stand.
Where exactly is the farm stand?
The
John?
farm stand is located on Oregon Road. It's right across from Lieb Vineyards. It's 12595 Oregon Road. So a lot of thought went
The
in.
silo.
The silo.
Yeah,
That's
tell us
right.
about the silo.
So the
silo.
So we were trying to figure out what would be unique, as well as being considerate to the neighbors, and that is a scenic corridor. I did grow up back there. Both my kids grew up back there with me, with the other business, and we grew up like North Fork kids, which was a great
Awesome.
experience. So I currently lease another farm down the road. And I had come up with an idea of a silo. I said, that would be a really cool idea if we could find one. So we started looking upstate New York. We started looking all over the place. All of a sudden, I drove back one day. There's one right at the farm that I had in lease for 5 years.
Get out of here.
So,
That's so wild.
Yeah, so it was really cool. So I said, hey, I went and approached the farmer. I made a deal with him. We actually took it down. One of my friends came down with a crane, picked it up, put it on one of my equipment trailers, and we drove it down the road with guys on
True
the roof.
North Fork experience.
True North Fork.
Yeah.
Done.
That's awesome.
So then from there, I was lucky enough to have some really great friends out here on the North Fork. And with our other interest, which is the landscape company, we had white oak, and I had friends with sawmills, and they timbered out and made just post and beam inside this silo. And we went and reclaimed local brick from the Sage Brick Factory that used to be out at the Brickyard. And we made some beautiful.
That was in Southold, right?
Out in Southold, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we took all those products, including we took some really nice big red cedar that we had cleared off of Ram Island on Shelter Island, made a shade pergola. So it really started to take this rustic industrial farming kind of feel on, which was really cool. And then each year, like, we implemented a new truck. We have a 46 Chevy and a 48 Ford out there right now. And we've got a
Really
lot
cool.
of things that are very neat. And we have a lot of experience as far as, we've gotten some publicity through some magazines and, photographs and things. And it's just a very unique, easy, relaxed place to go.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time when you come out with your family to come check it out.
And Kendall's running youth programs down there too, right?
Is that right?
Yeah. I'm trying to get as much youth involved as I can. I love kids, so
Yeah.
love to just get them involved in anything. I'm working with Lexi, who actually works for Blooms in Cutchogue. We're trying to get like a youth botany program with all of our cut flowers and stuff for little kids to come on Sundays. It's still in the works, but we need to get people down there to stay afloat.
Right.
So that's why the CSA is super important for us. We do 10-week shares and 12-week shares. Next year, like, we're learning. I've never farmed in my life, so it's a learning experience. We're trying to get longer shares for next season and keep that going.
But it's great because you're giving back.
Yeah.
Kendall.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
you're getting people that
And-
locally were coming out for the weekend to come down and experience the North Fork experience.
Right.
Organic. It's we just switched over at my house to trying to eat as much organic as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
You could tell by looking at me, I'm the pinnacle of health, So
We're getting older.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we mention too, sadly enough, there's 3 farms that closed on the North Fork this year.
Is that right?
So Kendall and I actually took on a new manager and a new grower. And I will say that they are doing a fantastic job for us.
Yeah.
The farm has never looked so good. It's got so many different varieties.
Yeah,
of
over
things.
97 varieties.
Yeah.
Is that
of
right?
organic
Yeah.
vegetables this season.
So you have 97 different varieties.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is very important. So it's going in a different direction now where we, because of the start of this, we were the ones out plowing, pulling the plastic, doing all
Right.
of that work. Now we can actually sit back, manage, watch, make sure we're watching
you're dialed
sales.
in.
We're going to farmers markets. We're going to Stony Brook, Glen Cove. We're going into Queens. So we're actually working all weekend long,
Wow.
7 days a week right now to get this thing to go because we really believe in this, right?
Well, this
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, John, I've known you my whole life and looked up to you as like a big brother. You're the best. And financially, you don't need to be doing this. You've done very well in your career, in your life. So obviously, you're doing this to preserve Kendall, the next generation. You're passionate about farming. You're passionate about the North Fork and preservation.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
This isn't something you need to be doing on your Saturday.
No, and
I know
actually,
that.
and actually, because we started to see this, and now, mind you, we're still way in the red on this project.
Of course.
And I may never even see it get out of it.
Well, that's why I know it's
Yeah,
passion. It's a
but-
passion. You love it's for the better.
We just purchased another 29 acres of property up the
Is that
road
right?
from Oregon Road, and we preserved it. It was going for development. So I was lucky enough to have some really great customers that tipped me off, and we were able to get in front of it, and
Oh,
we
wow.
worked with the town, sold off the development rights, so that is preserved.
That's fantastic.
But that's also in the process now of becoming certified organic. It hasn't been farmed in the last 2 years. So we're working for that so that when we need to rest ground on the ORO property, that we can move down to that.
That's fantastic.
John, I'm so glad we were able to connect the other day. Like I said earlier, I was driving by Oregon Road Organics every day from 2019 till about 2022. And I watched your progress. And everything I said to myself was like, wow, that looks repurposed. So everything on Oregon Road Organics is repurposed material from the North Fork, keeping with the character of the North Fork, preserving
The North Fork.
the North Fork. I would like to think that we should be more grateful to you and thank you for doing what you're doing. I understand what a capital call is, and if everybody doesn't know what a capital call is, it's when you have to invest your own money into your business. And I'd like to say by year 4, that grows old,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
John, if you don't see a turnaround, if you're not able to sustain year 5, year 6, year 7, how long do you think you'd be able to keep this going in character with the North Fork?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the most important things for us is the agritourism. We need the agritourism. You have to have people come. So when the CSA members come down, they visit with us. The kids can run around. We want them to stay. We want them to relax. We've tried to implement certain things to keep people there. We are across the street from Lieb. So the wine club members come over. They love us. They've watched, like you, Vince, the same thing all the way up till now. Each year we've given them something else. Every year we do a bigger improvement just to make sure that we stay compliant and we're considerate to our neighbors. I'm hoping to see it turn around, if not this year. If it broke even this year, I think I'd be tickled to death. Produce is just starting to come in. What do we have right now?
Yeah, we have all of our leafy greens right now. So we have like spinach, arugula, bok choy, Swiss chard, all that type of stuff, early season vegetables.
So once I think the rest of the crop starts coming in, then I think when we go to the farmers markets, because you cannot make money in this industry selling to the wholesale food purveyors. I did that with the farm I'm in lease with on Oregon Road. We grew conventional sweet corn, not certified organic, completely separate entity. And I looked at these farmers and I said, what are you guys? What'd you do? When I went into it, they said, are you dumb? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
And
I
I'm
need
like,
this.
they're like, do you need to lose money? And I'm like, no. I mean, and everybody from Calvin to Orient told me that on the farm side of things.
Right.
But they've been very, very supportive. I did notice in the farm community that they are really, really great. And I value all of their advice and support. And when it got tough, they told me not to quit.
Yeah.
They're like, tough it out, keep going. And I'm trying. So, thank God we have a strong team. I got a strong family. I got a great daughter. And we're stubborn North Fork people. We're going to keep working at it.
I love that.
You
But
know.
I've heard you say, John, you had your brother delivering things. You had your son.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have, obviously Kendall. So, I mean, this is a family business.
Absolutely.
This is, building perpetual jobs for North Forkers.
Absolutely.
You know, it's one thing to build wealth. You know,
Right.
There's another thing to build and put an infrastructure for the future.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a wealth builder.
No, no, but it's going to be.
You know.
It builds a lot of jobs for a lot of people. That's what I'm saying. Some people do things and like, well, I'm just going to make money with it.
Right.
I'm going to build wealth with it. I'll do it. It's going to make me money. This is not that. This is
No.
not a passive investment. This is a lot of work.
And it's hard work.
This
This
is
is hard
work.
work.
Right. This is the type of work that most people say, well, I really don't want to do this. This is probably the hardest type of work to get someone to get labor, right? Because nobody today.
We're lucky that we have a great
Yeah.
staff, and
You
they've
guys
been
have
there for a
amazing
few
people.
years. Yeah.
John, you've had people with your company.
My company, I've had some guys with me for 28 years.
28
yeah,
years.
so
Yeah.
I've been very
That's-
fortunate. But
it's
you know,
amazing.
that's
Yeah.
also just because of where we were brought up, and the values that we, as North Fork
Yes.
locals, have been brought up, and the way you treat people. All
Right.
right, you wouldn't have people with you for that
No.
amount of time
It's amazing.
if you were, you know, not a good person and didn't treat their families with respect and
Yeah.
fairly.
Right.
So we try that with the farm as well, and I couldn't be prouder of what's going on. I think this year, especially, the avenue of what I see happening now that I've been able to step back.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I loved it. But working 7 days a week for
It's
the
a-
last 4
yeah.
years started to wipe me out a little
Sure.
bit. I gave up all my hobbies. I sold my boat. I got rid of a car. I don't
can't
even use
afford
it.
those hobbies
I wanted
anymore,
to go
John.
I wanted to be on the 31.
I don't even
I wanted to be with you.
I don't even wash my pickup
You
anymore.
have a farm now.
I wanted to be with you.
No
on that
more
day.
animals, so I told Kendall,
Yeah,
no more
no
animals.
more.
Yeah,
No more.
we've had enough.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. But John, but it does, you know, like I said, it's there's a different things in being like time rich. Like you said, you've given up so much to be doing this, and you don't really have to do it. It's you love it and you care about it. But it is important, especially what Vin and I were talking about the other day about jobs, is that people in the North Fork, you know, unfortunately, we lose so many people that work here. Well, they start off to go to high school at Kendall. You went to school here. You graduated from Mattituck, right?
Yeah.
And then you could either stay or you leave, right? And most people end up leaving for whatever reason, and then they can't come back.
They can't get back.
They can't get back here. So the fact that you're creating this business, even though you know, hey, I'm not making money today. I might not make money in 5 years. I might not make money for a long time. But
Ever.
but it's
The
you know,
writing's
you're
on the
creating
wall.
Yeah.
jobs. I mean, if you have 10 people working at the farm, 20 people, whatever it is, that's feeding their families. Their families able to go to live on the North Fork. Hopefully this keeps growing and Kendall stays on the
Yeah.
North Fork. We don't lose you, Kendall.
Well,
You know
that's
I
what
mean?
this is all about, honestly, is trying to keep Kendall here, keep my family here, and,
Together.
you know, have them together and have these opportunities where they necessarily don't have to be involved with what I did for the last 30 years.
Sure.
They can go and take something on their own and see how they can do with it.
You planted
you know,
the seed.
I planted the
It's
seed.
an
right,
expensive
exactly,
crop.
exactly.
An
Yeah,
expensive
hold on.
crop.
Hemp is an expensive crop, John. And from what I understand, I was involved in a hemp operation just up the road from you. It is a hard crop. You
Yeah.
have to keep THC levels low in order
Right.
for you to bring it to market, right? So you've done that. You've done it successfully, right?
Right.
Why don't you continue to grow hemp and really sell your product retail all over the state? Why aren't you doing that? Why are you struggling?
I think that the reason that I haven't gone into hemp any further is, you know, basic demand at this point right now. And again, I think that the vegetables have taken off to a point now where they're rivaling sales on the CBD. I will say that we did propagate cannabis this year. So as an entrepreneur, right, I got into the hemp, and everybody got into the hemp with the dream of someday being able to propagate cannabis. So last year we did. I chose not to grow cannabis in this town. Okay,
Why?
I was because of neighbors and because of the community, and I'm very conscious to my surroundings. And I thought that this is in its infancy, and it's not really, accepted wholly yet. So I figured I would sit back. So we propagated over in Mauritius. We did sell the material, some of it. And to believe it or not, my 16-year-old son ran that whole operation. He left the shop every morning at 5 o'clock, get home at 7 o'clock at night. He had 18 people under him.
Wow.
Did all the compliance work. I'm very proud of him. There was no way we could have done it. Kendall was on the farm. I was in the construction office. Everything was going crazy. So it was a very interesting time that is another crop that
I want to be at the dinner table at your house because it's got to be crazy
Hard work.
between all these
we
conversations.
go when we tell people some of this stuff, and they look at us and they're like, "There's no way."
This is crazy.
I'm like, "I'm not telling you the truth. This is
crazy.
crazy."
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
laugh, and even the kids. I'm like, "Could you imagine telling you,
No,
you know,
never.
friends? My dad grew 30,000 cannabis plants. you
No,
know?
it's crazy.
and we had to harvest it for 6 weeks."
It's
Yeah.
so insane. You know what I mean? And like, but this is awesome. I love this. Like,
It is.
This
It's
is
an
just so great.
unbelievable story, really, from the beginning. You know, especially the way we grew up. Both you and I
Yeah.
have known you. We grew up from nothing.
Nothing.
We built everything ourselves, and we've given as much back as we can with trying to move forward and be fiscally responsible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Doug, you're in real estate, right? Are you familiar with the right to farm disclosure that if someone were to purchase a home adjacent to a farm, they're given a document to explain to them what to expect living next to a farm? So, I just received it, and what I'm going to do, John, is I'm going to share it with you. I feel if you bought a home next to a farm, I believe you bought it for a reason, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
picturesque view that you'd like to gaze upon, whether you're driving to your home or whether you're looking out your window.
Right.
Open air,
Like
open
Oregon
spaces,
Road.
like
It's
Oregon
beautiful.
Road. It's only Oregon Road because of agriculture,
Right.
Right.
right? If agriculture, it's just fallow, and then it's just another road that with overgrown trees, like you're driving down Nassau Point.
Right.
Right.
And as just so you know, as a true North Forker, that was the place you drove when you only had a permit and you weren't supposed to be driving.
That's
So-
right.
Just
or,
put it-
or a dirt bike.
Yeah,
or
a dirt bike
to
going
get
down
from
the
Cutthroat
road.
to Manitowoc.
Yeah, just want to put it out there. That road had a couple uses, but again,
Yeah.
sorry.
So what I understand is you're not growing marijuana, a crop that you would profit from, because of your neighbors.
Correct.
I think I'm going to go and knock on your neighbor's door. I'm going to present them this Farmers Bill of Rights and the Right to Farm Act. I really encourage the town, if they're really truly for keeping the North Fork, and vast, I believe the town really shouldn't cater to the sole complainer, as opposed to when it comes down to complaining about a farm, let alone an organic farm that's not spraying.
Right. Not putting chemicals.
Right.
You move next to a farm, accept it, and let the farmer farm.
Farm operations are very important,
Very.
and retail operations are very important to the farmer.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like I said, there's no way you can make money wholesale vegetables.
No.
There's a lot of different things that are at play here. You've got South Jersey, big agricultural
Driving
area.
the prices way down.
Driving the
crops.
prices way down, and this happens every year until we get into Kendall, mid-June, end of
when a
June.
good storm
They'll
wipes
get
them
a big
out.
Is that
storm
right?
wipes them
Is that
out,
right?
yeah.
Wow.
And
Now you're good.
then the big companies start calling.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I also, when we first started, we were dealing with a restaurant chain, supermarket chain, and I was dealing with the tri-state produce manager, and they wanted to start an organic section. And I said, okay. So we were talking over, zucchini, petite use zucchini. Say it was $12 a box. I wanted 14. He wanted to pay 12. And I said, well, I've got to bring it up to Hopwalk to this location, and
Yeah.
they were going to distribute it out everywhere. And I said, they're like, well, no, I'm paying 12 or 10 for this. And I said, I had brought my certificate. I said, here's my certification. Where's that from?
Right.
Well, it's from Mexico.
Yeah.
I said, well, where do you know it's sprayed on it? There's going to be preservatives that are sprayed on it.
Right. To get it to
And
here.
that's been on the rail for God knows how
Yeah.
long coming
Right.
up.
Not
So
fresh.
not fresh. So people don't understand that fresh produce is fresh off the farm stand,
Right. And that's
Yeah.
why it only lasts
Right.
Not
very
fresh
short.
off the rail car.
not off the rail
Or the
car
ship.
or even a truck.
Yeah.
So
It has
even
a short shelf life.
right. And Kendall has a real good rapport with a lot of the restaurants in this town. So if you support those restaurants, you're getting fresh food. They're delivering.
Yeah.
Kendall's delivering it to them.
Is that right, Kendall? You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So
I
they're
am.
going through, and then the restaurants have been fantastic with us. But
A lot of
That's-
local support. I
a
love
lot
to
of
hear that.
local support. We have a lot of local supporters, not only through our family over the years and everything else, but because we do run a nice, clean operation. And
That's beautiful when you go down there.
there's nothing like it.
I was
There
just
really
there
is.
this weekend. It's
Yeah.
so
It's
picturesque.
awesome. Yeah, I saw it. Kendall had a post up. I was
Yeah.
like, look at this. I got to go down there with the kids.
But the problem that I see coming up in the future is these small farms need to operate if they're looking to make money or sustain themselves. Okay, Maybe not all operations are for that reason. I won't speculate. But if you're looking to have a sustainable operation, one of the most important things that you have is your farm stand
Right.
and your customers and your,
That's where you
people
build
that are coming in,
relationships
and you
and-
build a relationship. We've met the most incredible people at that place that I can tell you from all over the place, from movie producers to, Country Garden magazine editor that
amazing.
wanted to come and do a story, and we're like, no, don't do that to us, because we don't want that yet, or maybe ever. I don't know.
Right.
But if you're not able to operate your operation, and be able to produce that extra income to support the labor costs, then it doesn't work.
It
You
doesn't
can
work.
only feed it. I think we were in the red by over 300,000 last
Oh
year,
my God.
just on a 12-acre piece.
Wow.
So that's a substantial.
That's crazy.
That's a substantial beating.
So that farm stand, that's a big part of the business, right?
Yeah.
And from promotion, to
Definitely.
promote yourself, your brand, your family values is your brand too. Like, hey, look, this is a family business. That's important. So when people go there, that's generating not only awareness to the product, to the process, to the people, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important. I can imagine being limited on product or anything you could have would actually hurt the business, right? I mean, if you can't have diversity, different products there at one time.
Oh yeah, we pick everything fresh daily to stock the farm stand because we want everybody to get the best of the best and see what it's all about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're the last vegetable farmer on Oregon Road, which
Yeah.
spans from Mattatuck to Cutchogue.
Is that right?
Besides for Martin Sider, who's a big supporter of ours, and he's helped us out tremendously. I can't say enough about the Sider family
They're
family in
wonderful
general.
people.
They're wonderful people and have helped us out. But yeah, they're growing the potatoes, and then we took over McBride's, and we bought the Bialeski farm next to McBride. So the rest of it at this time right now is grapes and sod.
Is that right? Sod,
Yeah.
yeah, well, here's sod. Yeah, well, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother
So it's
conversation.
really
but
important to get the farm stand moving and get traffic in and out.
people need to be there. They
yeah,
need to see
people
it.
need to be there.
Well, how would they know, Kendall? Like you're telling me about this program you're putting together, and obviously today's a great way to get the word out there. But if as a parent, if I wanted my kids to learn more about these values, right?
Yeah.
If they don't come to this the retail location, they may not get to meet you, and you won't
Exactly.
be able to talk to them. So
yeah,
obviously, the more different things you have there, the longer you can keep people at your farm stand, the better, right?
yes, definitely.
That's so
Definitely.
important.
How
Yeah,
many vari-
absolutely. Right, Vince? I mean,
you
you
need-
can see the situation we have there.
Well, yeah, retail is so. I was blessed to have a few great mentors in agriculture, and Steve Mudd is one of them. And Steve just reminded me the other day what he first told me. If you look at an agricultural operation and you want to purchase it, run those numbers wholesale, and if that doesn't scare you, buy the farm.
Right.
And when I think that's what the phrase "buy the farm" means is because you're going to die.
Right.
You're gonna ultimately, not physically, your business is going to die.
Right.
You cannot have
Sustain.
an agricultural operation at land value with the development rights 130,000 or more. You cannot have an agricultural operation that will sustain those numbers.
So we need a lot of support.
You need a lot of support. We need to sell retail. If you're going to the supermarket to go purchase vegetables
right.
that came off a ship,
Right.
or
That's already being
or a
marked out.
truck.
Right. Or a truck or a
why
rail,
wouldn't
yeah.
you stop and support your local farmer? Stop at the farm stand on the way. Get out, stretch your legs, get some exercise. They'll let you walk up and down the farm field if you want. Walk your dog, shop, go home, cook those fresh vegetables,
Right.
eat healthy.
Listen,
Right.
we have a lot of people who freeze and pickle our products too, right?
Oh yeah.
Dude, people have parties and do
Right,
it. They have
right.
a great time, and they send us pictures. Vodka's going, and they're blanching corn and freezing it and pickling their beets and the onions and everything else.
That's
and,
awesome.
And then you have that for yourself for the winter too.
Yeah, right. So buying organic doesn't just mean you have to buy it and keep it today. You can freeze it, use it down the road.
Pickle
which is
it,
awesome.
preserve it.
Right. That's a lost art. Less and less people are doing that now.
So Kendall, what would be something that we can let younger generations know about farming that they might be able to come down? They can come down and meet with you and get
Yeah.
involved in this program a
Yeah,
little bit.
definitely. Actually, a lot of the staff at the farm is youth. In my 20s, our new manager that we just hired in his 20s, and I would have never pictured if you asked me 6 years ago, what do you see yourself doing? It would have definitely not been this, but I'm happy it is.
Yeah, I'm happy for everyone that it is. You know,
as
it's
hard as
great.
it is, it's definitely worth it.
I think she's an amazing daughter. I couldn't be any happier.
John,
Yeah.
you're very lucky.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
a
very
wonderful
lucky.
family.
I mean, we it's tough working, especially when things get, chaotic and
Yeah.
tough. But she sticks by my side.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
You are a great kid. And so, Kendall, we could, if someone's listening and they want to come down to the farm stand and meet with you guys, they can get involved in this club you were saying about. I could join it, and then when I
CSA.
can
Yeah,
come
the
down,
CSA.
and then basically I can come down once a week and get different
Yep.
products.
So
Is that-
Fridays or Saturdays, we fill a basket. We do it really nice. We have baskets. We fill it with everything fresh picked that day from the farm, from what's like blooming and coming in that week. That's why we have 97 varieties of things planted, because we want everyone to get
Wow.
the most of what's on the farm and
It's
get
fantastic.
involved.
97
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And being part of a CSA doesn't just mean that you get your vegetables, you come in. We want you to spend time there. We want to have activities and things for your kids to come do, and just spend as much time with us as possible and see what it's all about.
Norfolk family values.
Yeah, we encourage the people to stay. We don't want them just to pick up, drop their old basket off, and leave. Come sit with us. Come look at the farm. We want to show you what's going on. We want to explain. We want to answer your questions. We want you a part of this program rather than just pick up and drop off.
Right. So look for the silo down Oregon
Yeah.
Road,
Right. And look for
Yeah.
and we're looking for suggestions, as well. If people want something that's not here, speak with Ernesto, the grower, or Calvin, the manager, and we're going to figure it out between the four of us and implement, the best, products that we can get out of there.
So, small town values. I've reached out to several restaurants throughout Long Island. Partnered with a local company that's traveling Long Island daily with refrigerated vehicles. We've come up with a way to bring farm fresh products to restaurants delivered for free on behalf of small town values.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Right? So
That's fantastic.
one of the reasons also why I asked Oregon Road Organics on the show would be to see if they would be able to meet with some chefs, and we could go forward and plant the chef's next menu.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then we'll work it out. We'll work out all the details. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, with the help of this show, we'd be introducing you to some chefs.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, one other thing. So our guest, Cedar House, was on last week.
Oh yeah.
Amaratis. We're getting together. We're going to start on a small basis. Cedar House has 5 rooms. What we would like Oregon Road Organics to do is come up with a small product, fresh, that we could give to Dave Perrin and the Perrin family at Cedar House, so they could leave a nice invitation with your gift in their room, in the guest rooms, with a nice invitation. Come, spend a day, shop, visit Oregon Road Organics. Is this something you guys would? Hopefully, all our guests are going to do this. So you're next up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look,
That'd be
anything
great.
that helps us support the farm and cushion the blows that we've been taking would be really received.
Yeah.
with the
Local
highest
businesses
regards.
are really important to us too. Like working with them, it helps both of us.
Right.
So
Right. It's so
super important.
Can I ask you what is the date the farm's open to and closes for the public?
So Fridays we're open afternoons. I would say 2 to 6, and Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 6.
10 to 6. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's open now until what, the end of October?
Oh,
or?
we're trying to push it this year, so
Yeah.
hopefully longer than that. We want to stay open through Halloween.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
I
no,
wish.
it gets pretty cold down there.
That'd
Yeah.
be great.
But we do, we also do some benevolence down there. We do a food drive with the Matatuck Lions clubs.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We do that there. That's a great organization. I love those guys.
Same
So we
here.
do a food drive that supports a lot of the local families. We've been doing that every year. And it's always terrible, the weather, but those guys are tough, and they stick it out down there with us, and they get that done as
Yeah.
well.
Our farm stand, we do on the one of the trucks, we do self-serve, which is, we're working on it. But
Yeah.
so every day we stock that with everything that we have at the farm too. So there's a little red pay box on the back. So that's open 24/7.
Oh, it's so great. You got to see the things. If you're planting a garden, you have to shop at that truck. It's amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot
Yeah.
of plants right now for sale because we're trying to get the early season.
Yeah.
So we're trying to hit it with whatever vegetable plants, certified organic vegetable plants. And then as things come in, it will have more and more produce at our disposal as well.
It's on the honor system, and I strategically placed a hidden camera, so don't steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing. So we're doing a traffic reduction program here in Southold. Small Town Values proudly presents. I have a question for our audience. How many cars do you think visits the Southold landfill per day?
I wouldn't have an idea.
Take a guess. Throw it out there.
I'd say 600.
Close, but no.
Really?
She's off.
500.
She's low.
She's low.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Right? I'm not telling a number. That'll be revealed when we launch
Wow.
the traffic reduction program here in Southold.
Wow. I would bet it was higher than that on the weekends. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an average of, it's significantly higher than Kendall's.
Oh.
guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
John, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What would be something that if I've never been to a farm stand and how I could help besides just buying product? You know, what could somebody do to help the local farmer? You know, what type of support can we offer?
I think word of
farmers?
mouth, or maybe like Kendall's
Social media.
like Kendall. That would be a
Instagram
question
is
for you.
Definitely big for us. So sharing our Instagram following, all of that helps. We post all of our activities and information. Everything goes on there. So that's definitely the best way.
So reposting probably, right, Ken?
Yep.
Would be a big thing. Or just going around, and we're not just saying just to support our farm.
No, but
for other
farming in
small
general.
farms as well. Please go and support all of them on a North Fork because they're all working hard
Yeah.
and working towards the best, possible outcome. And each one is very unique. Everyone has got its own character, and I think it's important to visit them all
Right.
because each one it's got its own individuality.
Yeah, everyone's got different stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah. We do a lot. Prepared foods is also big. So doing all
I
that.
could imagine that.
nice.
How many things could you take out of your garden, prepare fresh at your farm stand, sell at a reasonable price,
Absolutely.
and sustain?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
How many? Why? So, I believe a big part of this show is to bring awareness to the struggles farmers have, that they have to bring their product retail to market, and allow them. We have to get creative. We have to maybe take some laws off the books that really don't make sense, because if you could do it somewhere else, why can't you do it here? We really have to lighten up, become less stringent with the rules and regulations surrounding agriculture, because if we really want to preserve the character of the North Fork, we have to accept the character of North Fork is agriculture, and that is dying. So unless we do some things now to change, the future looks grim.
I agree. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of empty farm fields sitting around because if they can't make money and be sustainable, then somebody's going to be stuck with a tax bill.
And then what do you do with that piece of land that you can't build on? There's no ROI on that
No.
land. John, what are you going to do with that land if
Right.
you're no longer able to farm?
So, I just sat in a county board meeting last Thursday night, and I was listening, and there was a piece of property over in Bridgehampton that was in was a non-compliance thing where the owner had let it go follow. Cedars started coming in, some invasives started coming in, and the board had called out the attorney, I guess, and some other people and said, look, you going out there and digging cedar trees that are seeding themselves is not farming, right? So the land is preserved, but it has to be in production. That's why the county, in my opinion, is great because they're proactive. They're like, yes, we're going to let you work this ground. We're going to allow you to put up the infrastructure that you require to work this ground.
Right.
As a person who had to purchase all this farm equipment because I didn't have it, I had large construction equipment,
Right.
but I didn't have row crop tractors and plows and any of that, which is a daunting task trying to find out, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
That we were
Trying to
able
find
to
it.
we were able to get that locally, believe it or not, all of
Source.
it.
Oh, wow.
Nothing past Calverton. And these guys were the ones that would tell me, "Are you stupid?"
Yeah.
As I pulled out of
You
it.
want to buy this
You know.
machine
Yeah,
for me,
we
buddy?
got two more for you.
Yeah.
So you spend that money for that, a couple $100,000
Oh,
easy
geez.
as nothing for a couple pieces of equipment.
Easy.
Then you're going to leave it outside all winter?
Right.
You can't. You need to
Gotta
get
be
it out of the
gone.
weather. The people need to be able to get out of the weather. There's a lot of storage. There's a lot of fertilizer
Things you just
and
don't even
bulk goods.
see.
You don't see.
Back
You
of the
need-
house.
You can't just have a piece of land. You're gonna have to have infrastructure.
Infrastructure. A lot
Okay,
of it.
and that's the most important thing. And then the other thing that we struggled with too, as we're seeing now, is now we're going to grow all this great produce, but it's also got to be refrigerated.
Oh boy.
Okay, so for the last 4 years, we were leasing refrigerated tractor trailer bodies,
What'd that
53
cost?
footers.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're burning 30 gallons of diesel a night if you load them with corn,
Oh geez.
trying to get them down while you're waiting for somebody to
Yeah.
come pick it up from the city,
Oh.
which is you're not making money on anyway.
No.
It was like, what did we just do? Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? So there are so many hurdles in this industry that most people don't even think about, that the owners and the staff are really sweating out
Right.
to be able to make this work. But we believe in it, we love it, and we're trying to do it. That really, these operations need to be embraced.
Right.
They don't
Right.
need to be attacked. I see it time and time again, and there's no reason for it.
No, not at all.
There's no reason for it. Not when it's a true operation.
Right.
If they're operating that in compliance and doing as regulation and as per
There's
code,
enough obstacles.
In
enough
character
obstacles.
with the North Fork.
in character with the North Fork.
That's what it is. It's agriculture, right?
You know?
And people are fighting this. It's the reason for my show, and I'm so glad you guys came on.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Yeah,
inviting
thank
us.
you.
Really, absolutely.
One question that I wasn't able to interject before we got moving on. Why did it take you so long to do the well
At the new farm.
at the new? Yeah.
All right, at the new farm. So at the new farm that we purchased, it took some time because I literally went in and approached the town, and the preservation chairman was about to retire, but she told me, "Hey, John, I really want this piece. I'm going to get this done." So I kind of fell out of the communication of what was going on there because I had farmed that land for 2 years prior, 2 or 3 years prior. So I had one of the local farmers actually up there working for us, and he said, "Hey, there's people up at the well." I said, "Yeah, something's going on with the town. They might have found some contaminants. They hired an environmental company to come on in and clean it up around the old well motor." So I said, "I don't know. I'll take a ride up there later." So it was a Saturday. I took a ride up there on one of the gators, cruised up there, and I see some drums that were cleaned up. All of a sudden, I look over at my gear head where the well was, and it's destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Somebody had smashed the cast iron casing off of it and cut the shaft and taken the
Ah.
gears
For scrap.
and took it for scrap metal. So I almost passed out. So at that time, I hadn't closed yet. So I made a report, and then I called one of my friends who was part of the ownership. So push comes to shove, the new owners had to put the well in for us, $120,000
Oh,
well,
gosh.
because of non-communication and basically just the way the world is today.
Right.
You know,
Right.
But at that time, that's why we had left that field fallow last
The
year.
terrible
was wondering.
setback.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Yeah, that's why I left
So
it.
sad.
So, and then we had grown corn on the other side. And then this year, the well is in. So we're going to start. We said, look, we already started that. We already lost a season. Let's just start moving this into the organic community. And I think that's going to be a really good thing for the community, for the business in the future. And it's important.
It really is. I don't think people realize how many setbacks there are for the farmer, besides weather. Now you're talking about somebody stealing a piece of equipment, that
Crippling.
vital piece of equipment. And I think there's so many things that
Biological,
yeah.
the insects, the biological, the funguses and anything else that can come on with us. It is a constant battle.
constant.
And it
battle.
never stops. People were there on Kendall and I worked Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I was there on the holiday with the guys. They worked as well. And they're like, and I said, the people were like, "You're here again?" I said, "This doesn't stop.
Never stops.
This is like a train that left the station.
it's
It's going to stop in November."
right. It's
You
gonna
know,
stop in November. But it's so funny because, if you think about it, what we eat is everything, right? I mean, eating healthy, eating clean is so important. I mean, we should just support the people we best we
It's
can.
the only
people
way
that
you
feed
know.
us, right?
It's the only way you know what you're eating if you
Right.
know your farmer.
Right.
It's the only way you know.
It's true. My grandfather would never eat in restaurants, and it wasn't because he was cheap. He just was like, I don't know how they're preparing my food, and I don't know what the food looks like.
Right. What
When it
oil are they
come-
cooking?
Yeah,
in?
because he's like, when it comes out cooked, of course it looks nice, But what if it fell on the floor?
Yeah.
What if it this? So, the old school Italian guy, but it's true. And it's like the people that make your food. I mean, I like to know the Fabb family makes my food when I buy it there, right? I mean, that's a great thing. I think that, you guys, I trust Kendall. I know Kendall's going to make sure
She
that,
does a great job.
the best. And of course, it's just John. But I'm saying is like to know the people that grew the crop that said it's organic and it's organic. It's not kind of organic.
Cared
Yeah.
for it. It's the energy that
Yeah,
you put
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, all the way down to
Right.
GMP certification and things as far as handling goes, washing, water testing, all the way through. And Calvin, the new manager, who's head of compliance down there, is right on us.
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job.
That's fantastic.
It's serious.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it that
It's
most
amazing.
people don't realize what goes into it.
Yeah.
And then, after this is all said and done, you still have all the reporting. You have your inspections. You have your fees that you're paying to belong to these organizations.
Right.
So I've learned a tremendous amount. I really have. And like I said, I don't know how these farming families did it back then because I can't see it being easier back then.
Right.
But these are hardworking people, hardest working people I've really ever met. And the few that are still left here, I see them out on Sundays and holidays too, in their 70s,
Yep.
out there still looking at pipe. I saw Martin out there the other day, and I just shook my head. I said, that's going to be me, maybe.
Yeah, that's you.
What
That's
did I do?